All right, I'm going to show you how to change the spark plugs on your 2008, 9, and 10 Gen 3 ZX10R without removing the tank, any special tools or anything like that. Dropping the engine is what some people have been doing. You just don't need any of that. You don't need any special tools other than the socket spark plug wrench that comes with your ZX10. You'll be able to find that under the seat if the previous owner didn't lose it. So you'll need that. You'll need your 14mm socket, wrench, Phillips screwdriver, a 5mm Allen wrench, and a 4mm Allen wrench. The spark plugs we'll be using are NGK's Laser Iridium Premium. It is a CR9EIA-9, and you'll just need 4 of those. I have anti-seize and some silicone grease for the spark plug boots. Things you will want, but you don't necessarily need. Some people use needle nose pliers. I'll show you a trick with the channel locks to get the boots off real easy. It's nice to have a flashlight and a magnetic retrieving tool for one of the screws that tends to get kind of lost. I'll use a screw gun just to speed things up in the process, and a GoPro to kind of show you details of inner parts that camera's not going to catch. So first, you're going to take off these plates here on the side. It is a 4mm Allen. Like I said, I'll use a screw gun, but you'll be using your little Allen wrench if you don't have a bit for your screw gun. Once you remove the bolts for your seat covers, you're just going to pull out right here, and it pulls there. Your Velcro may be stuck right there on that little square. You'll have to use 2 hands for that. Come over to the other side. Already removed the bolt, so you're just going to do the same over here. Falls right off. This is where you're going to access your seat bolts to get the seat off. One here, and one right there. Once you have your seat bolts removed, you'll just pull up from the front. Seat comes off nice and easy. Store that under here. A lot of people remove the tank. It is not necessary to remove the tank. What you'll do is you'll remove these 2 bolts up here. They're your 5mm. Holding on your steering stabilizer, it'll just move out of the way. It's probably easier to go ahead and remove your key fob. your key from the top. It's just in the way at this point. So we will take our 5mm Allen, or if you have a drill bit, use that. So the 2 bolts you're going to be removing is this one here, with your 5mm Allen. Okay, once you remove these 2 bolts, you'll want to move this out of your way. Here, just kind of rest it up on top, and this is going to lift up. So it lifts up like that. Now what I like to do is, I have a piece of foam, or you can use a 2x4 or just anything sturdy, or some people use a strap and strap it to something in your ceiling. Piece of foam works for me. I just stick it there, holds my tank up. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of move this rubber mat here out of my way. Just kind of let it fold downward. Now there are going to be several Phillips screws around this plate for your airbox. So you're going to remove those. Just make sure you don't drop them in your engine compartment or lose them in your frame. So you're going to take, they're all Phillips. I will show you with the GoPro. Okay, so here with the GoPro, you're going to take out 2 screws up top here, these black ones. And then there are 2 in these little cubbies that they will kind of hold themselves on each side here. So you can get a better angle. Right there. There is 1 in the center, which is very hard to see, so you'll have to be careful not to strip it out. And then you have 4 down below. There's 1 here, 1 there. So you have 1 there, and then 1 with the wire holder on it right there. So just take all those out, and we'll remove this air box so that we can remove the rest of it. Again, I'll be using the screw gun to speed up the process. So I've removed all but these 2 side screws and this center screw. The trick with these side ones is to get your screwdriver on where you feel it's on there, and you'll unscrew for a little bit until you feel it's loose. Now there is a keeper on here that keeps that screw in place so that it will not come out and into your engine bay and fall in there. So on these 2 side ones it has that, but that center one does not. So that's where we will be using our magnetic retriever. So just be careful on this center one to make sure your screwdriver is on it correctly and you don't strip it out, because it'll be very, very difficult to remove if you strip that one out. So just carefully loosening until you feel it's loose. It feels like this one's loose. I'm going to take my magnetic retriever and pull that sucker out of there. Okay, now you're ready to remove your airbox lid. It just, sometimes if it's been a while, it'll be kind of stuck. Mine seems to be pretty free. So now I'm just going to set that over to the side. Careful not to pinch any wires or hurt anything, but I'm just kind of setting it off to the side there, let it lay. You want to make sure you don't get anything in the box. Sometimes I'll lay a rag over that. That would probably be best at this point actually, so I'm going to do that. Okay, just for peace of mind, I got a rag over the intake over here, so now I'm just going to pull up on this filter. This is also kind of how you get to your filter if you want to change that. I went with a Canon. I'm sure there's many different brands that would be just as good. So now this part, you will have to remove just part of your intake here. You can feel right here, this is kind of loose if you pull up right here. So basically all it's connected to is this 5mm Allen here. So you're going to take your screw gun and remove that Allen. I'm sorry, you're going to take your Allen wrench if you don't have a screw gun. And I'm just going to remove this here. Alright, so that's loose. Okay, so you are going to remove this top part of your airbox. Now this here will flex quite a bit. You can probably just loosen that to make your job easier, but with some stubbornness you can just pull up right here without breaking. You want to be very cautious and just kind of finesse it out right here. Now it's easy to grab one hand here and the other end here and just kind of remove it. Removed. Okay. So this is where your spark plugs are going to be. Right here. There's no need to remove your tank. That's just an unnecessary step. And I mean, yeah, you're reaching around it a little bit, but it's far better than removing it in my mind. So there's one spark plug back there. That yellow top there is where we're going to be getting into it. Right there. there, there's another one. Number 3 there, and then 4 back in there. Now this far one over here on the side and that far one on the side are gonna be a little tricky, and that's where this special spark plug wrench is really gonna come in hand. Okay, so with this covered, just for peace of mind and keeping things out of it, I like to start from left to right, just pick a side, do it all one by one so you don't mess up. These little clips here, you're gonna remove them, each of them as you go. See, there's a little top that you push down on, and then this bottom will remove, like that. So you got this little prong here. You'll see the top once you get it going. They're pretty easy for the most part. If you have issues, just be gentle with it. Don't break it, because that is not going to be a fun part to replace. So this whole assembly here is where you're going to be pulling up on that. That is your spark plug boot, and it's pretty difficult to get out. The first time I went around, got online and showed using needle nose and kind of grabbing here and pulling back. I'm going to show you a trick with channel locks that makes it way easier. Okay, so to remove these boots the easy way, what I found is you just kind of tuck this away so you're not in your way. What you want to do is you're going to lift up on this part here using half of your channel locks. So basically we're going to be prying with this part here. So I just kind of open them where it's out of the way, and I just get under like that, and just kind of carefully, very carefully use that to pry up on this boot. And what it does is pulls it right off of the spark plug, way easier than the first time I used just needle nose and just worked on it for 30 minutes. So the problem you're gonna run into on these end ones is it's hitting the frame. Now it's very difficult, and you kind of have to hold your tongue right, but if you slowly work it forward under the frame and just try not to lose it, just keep track of it with both your hands, you'll reach here and you'll reach kind of back up in here. You will be able to work that out eventually and be able to get to that spark plug. So I'll do that now. So I'm just working it forward as I can feel it from the other side of the frame. And eventually you'll have it removed right here. You'll grab the base of it and pull it back out. And there you go. So that's removed. Now we can get to the spark plug. Okay, so this is where this wrench comes in. So you're gonna need this, and you're gonna need your 14mm wrench. You do not need a ratcheting one. I thought it might work in this instance, but it's just too tight, and you really don't need it as long as they put some anti-seize on those spark plugs before. So you're gonna take your wrench, you're just gonna kind of finesse it in here. You're gonna let the bottom drop, and then work your top in, and kind of turn it back and forth until you know you're on a spark plug. Make sure you push down where that rubber boot will grab the spark plug so it'll pull it out when you got it loose. So I have mine on there now pretty good. Feels pretty snug. I'm gonna take my wrench and I'm just gonna barely turn it, holding the top with my other hand just for steady. I'm just gonna barely loosen it. There we go, got it loose. Okay, once it's loose, you should be able to do it by hand. If not, you have a long road ahead of you using that wrench, but it'll eventually come. So I'm gonna loosen it until it feels like it's just done loosening. Now, I did mine yesterday actually, so these are brand new. I'll be reinstalling them, but I just wanted to show everybody an easier way to do it. Okay, so after you've turned it a million times and you think that you're loose, you're just gonna pull up carefully on your spark plug wrench, and hopefully you will have caught a fish. and you got this spark plug here. So it's pretty simple. I would recommend putting some anti-seize on your new ones. You can tell this is brand new. I just put it in yesterday, but that just makes it so much easier for you in the future or the next guy when you sell it. And yeah, you will just remove it here. Kind of gotta grab on tightly. And you're going to use this to reinstall your new one. So let's go put some anti-seize on this one. Okay, so going back with your new spark plug, you're just going to very carefully put a little bit of anti-seize on the end of this. I don't do a whole lot. I'm sure someone in the comments is a much bigger expert than I am, but it works. I just keep it off the end there. Don't want anything tampering with our spark. Now I'm going to work this in our socket set. There's a rubber boot in there that will hold it for us. Why do I keep calling it a socket set? It is a spark plug wrench. Got that fairly snug in there. Now I'm going to carefully drop this end into our spark plug hole without touching the sides on that end there. Do your best to just take your time on this one. Once you get it setting in there like that, you're just gonna kind of carefully work it in there until you feel like it's in the threads. It feels like it just kind of drops in there usually, so you're just gonna work that, tighten it, and slowly go as you get around. If it feels like it's binding early, you may want to kind of hit the hole. Mine seems to be going now. It also helps if you don't have anti-seize all over your hands. It does take a little while doing it by hand, but once you get it pretty snug where you can't tighten it anymore with your hand, I like to go over it with the wrench at the end and just give it a good snug. I'm sure there's a torque spec, but I just wouldn't go too crazy and you'll be fine. So you're gonna use your 14mm wrench and get you maybe a quarter turn out of this spark plug once you've hand tightened. Probably not even a quarter turn, honestly, more like an 1/8 turn. Get it decently snug. There you go. Now you're just gonna pull straight up on your wrench and pull it out. Okay, now you got your spark plug back. That is one of the hardest ones, that one and the other outside one. So let's put that boot back on. Okay, so here's where you take your boot and your silicone grease. I think some people call it dielectric grease. Pretty sure it's the same thing. I don't put a lot of this. I just don't want a big mess, but basically I will just take a little bit and just kind of do that. Maybe one more on the other side for the heck of it. Nothing crazy. Make sure it's not gonna just fall out when you turn it upside down. And we're going to just do the reverse of what we did to get this sucker out of there. So I'm going to be angling this top here up under the frame right here towards the plastic, just to get it to where I have a better angle moving from forward under this cover here to get into our spark plug hole. So just be real patient with it. Try to, you know, hold your tongue right and it'll go. Okay, so now once you get it past that first part, you'll want to make sure your connector is facing the front so you can get that back in. So just kind of get it turned back to where you want it, like so. Now I'm just going to shove down on it until it seats on that spark plug. You'll kind of feel a notch. And then what I do is just with one hand grab the connector and with the other hand push down on this yellow part until it really seats well, so that we know we have a good connection on our spark plug in our boot. Now you're gonna put your connector back. So the yellow part is gonna go up when going to click it back in. Just carefully line it up like that. And you're going to push it until you hear a click. There, mine clicked in, feels solid. All right, now let's go to spark plug number 2. So again, unplugging our clip, removing that, taking our channel locks, and, oh, don't want to lose that cap in there. Taking our channel locks, and let me see if I can get you a better view of what I'm doing here with these channel locks. So I'm just gonna move that connector out of the way. Basically what I'm doing is using this as a pry tool. It's just far more easy to remove the boots, and then I'm just pushing lightly and softly up on it until it breaks loose, and you can feel it break loose. There we go. That one should be easy. So we're gonna do the same thing. You will remove the spark plug and set this to the side for now. Let's go ahead and take our wrench, drop it in the hole, line it up on our spark plug, push down firmly so that the boot will grab. We're gonna take 14 millimeter wrench, loosen lightly, got it loose. I'm gonna loosen it with my hand the rest of the way. These center 2 are gonna be incredibly easy compared to the side 2. You'll feel like a pro. Ta-da, you got your spark plug. Okay, going back with our spark plug number 2. Careful not to touch sidewalls. Dropping it in there carefully. I'm just turning it, tightening it with my hand. Okay, got it snug. Now we're gonna take our 14 millimeter wrench and do our little tightening. I can only usually get about 1/8 a turn out of this. I'm not going hard at all. I'm just making sure it's good and snug. It should not be super tight, because somebody will remove these someday. Taking my grease again, put a little bit in the boot. All right, now this should be easy just to slide in there. So we're going straight in. I feel it on the spark plug now. I'm going to push with my thumb here and wiggle this back and forth just a little bit. Okay, I felt several notches just kind of go down on the end of that spark plug. Unbury my cable here. Got our connector. Yellow at the top. Heard it click. Nice and firm. Good to go. Let's go to spark plug number 3. You know, this is the one that fought me yesterday. I definitely don't want to mess up this connector. This is where you just have to be patient with it. Don't break one. Okay, got that one loose. Oh boy, how many? Okay, got that one loose. Same trick with this one. I noticed there's a bolt or something right here kind of bulging up. It's not gonna let you do the channel locks. But if you turn it to the right just slightly, you can feel the chamber in there, or we'll be able to wedge them in there. So take the bottom of our spark plug, our channel locks under our spark plug boot. like so. You're just gonna lift up carefully, and it removes it like butter. Pulling that up. Got our boot out. Spark plug wrench. Get it on there tightly. Gonna push down so that it holds it. 14mm wrench. Just loosen it a little bit. The rest should be nice and easy with the hand. Okay, I think I got it loose now. Nope. There we go. There she be. All right, going back with it. This is number 3. We got one more. It's another one of those hard ones, but with patience, it's not that bad. Tighten it with our 14mm. Pull my wrench out. Silicone. Sliding our boot back on. This one we're just going to push down firmly. Twisting this as we need. I felt several clicks there, so we should be good. It was facing towards that bolt there, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. And then we're gonna put our connector on, yellow up. Nice and good, firm. All right, let's get to the last one. Okay, so you got one more back here. It's kind of hidden under this plug here. Gonna disconnect your wire as usual. Turn this where you can get your channel locks under it. Channel lock here. Get it right under. I'm just gonna pull up very carefully. Don't want to break anything. There we go. Got it loose. So this one is the exact same thing with the other one on the end. You're just gonna have to kind of work around these wires a little more on this one, but you just pull up until it hits the frame. There we go, we're hitting the frame. And now I find it easier to twist this connector towards the back where you have just a little bit more room as you work it up, but you can kind of feel straight back behind this weld here. There's a little bit more of a gap, kind of headed towards the plastics of the bike, fairings. So just work it back, get your hand on the other side of the frame, make sure you don't lose this piece back in there. It may be gone forever. There we go. It actually helps to go forward more, my bad. So you can see where I'm headed. It is directly forward under the frame. And that seems to be allowing me to get enough of an angle, here we go, to get that bottom to where I can pull it out first. Okay, just like before, you should be able to use the angle of this spark plug wrench to get in there. Drop the top in, use your hand to align it with the spark plug, there we go. It's aligned with the spark plug. I'm gonna push it in there, get that boot seated so I don't have to fish that thing out. Now we're gonna take our 14mm. Again, your fighting connectors, I find it easiest to at least move them kind of as far out of the way as they'll allow you. I'm just gonna loosen that bolt. I mean that socket, spark plug. Okay, get it loose. There we go. You can get to all of them without dropping your motor, without pulling your tank. I'm all for less work, even if it's just a little bit tighter. Got my anti-seize back on there. Gonna carefully drop it in that hole there. Start tightening it up. There we go, got it tight. Snug it up with my 14mm. Pull our wrench out. Silicone the boot. Now for the fun part, wrestling this thing in there. So from what I learned last time, I'm gonna go straight under this frame, right in front of the hole, kind of around this big harness here. There we go. Straight in, and then you're going to line up the tip of it with that spark plug hole. There we go. That should go. So I got that started. Just got to keep working it. There we go. Okay, right there. So it's just right on the back side of this weld is where you kind of want to head towards. Directly forward, straight forward of the bike. Now, I'll push down while wiggling this connector here. I can hear and feel it seating around that spark plug. Now, got my last connector. It's always yellow up. As you can see, I've been saying the whole time, the connector up top here, just so you don't break it, make sure you're holding it correctly. And push till it clicks. There you go. All right, now let's put our airbox back together. Okay, so now we're going to be putting this back, this piece of your airbox. I'm gonna remove my rag. Now at this point, I just need to be very careful not to get anything in these chambers because that goes directly to your engine. So I kind of lift it like this to swoop it under this bracket here. I'm gonna make sure your bolt hole is beneath that bracket. And it just kind of slides up in there. The hole where your filter is mounted lines up with these holes here. So you're going to make sure your filter sits well and those three holes line up. Okay, so you're gonna use your 5mm bolt here. Tighten your airbox on. You want to make sure this seats on your airbox completely all the way around, that there's no gaps in between. Otherwise, you won't even be filtering the air that your bike's breathing. Okay, this is where you put your top back on. Just be careful with the wires, careful with all this bottom piece here, and I think everything will be okay for you. You're just going to carefully line up top of it to put it back on. You'll see this kind of ridge around the whole perimeter. That all just needs to line up real smoothly. Don't force it, take it easy. And if you're careful, it'll line up pretty easy. Okay, this is where we're going to put our Phillips screws back in. Okay, so let's put screws back in, just the easy ones first. So I just like to start, just kind of line up these top ones. I'm not tightening the heck out of any of them, not till the end. And even then, you're going to be real careful because they're all in plastic. So I'm just lightly tightening them. These two side ones that it should have held together, go ahead and tighten those in. And let's go ahead and get the two outer bottom ones. I'm going to skip at least that one with the wire clip on it, just because it's easy to forget the wire clip. Okay, so this is for the center one. It's pretty hard to just get it to line up right. So what I like to do is just hold your screw on there and on your Phillips, and if you don't have a magnetic one, and just push it as quick as you can and just keep the pressure on there until you hit the hole. There we go. And that keeps my Phillips lined up with that one. If not, you'll be able to get it. It's just takes a little bit of fishing and kind of moving your Phillips around in there. Now we're going to take our one with the wire holder and just allow it to kind of caress that harness here so it keeps it out of harm's way. And we're going to tighten that one up completely. Just firm hand tight, nothing too hard, don't go too crazy. Like I said, it's in plastic, so now we're just going to kind of go around and make sure they're all nice and tight. Don't want any rattles on the road. Okay, once you get your airbox cover on, do not forget to put your heat protector back on. Just kind of fits under the spiel line here. There we go. Kind of lay it evenly. You don't want that sticking out under your tank because it will look ugly. All right, now we're going to put down our tank. When you go to bolt your tank back on, make sure you put your stabilizer back on as well. To make it easier to line up your bolt holes, what I like to do is get the stabilizer set on the tank itself first with the bolts. Careful not to lose your washers underneath. And then I line up the bolts to the tank, the frame holes, because it's just a little bit of tension and it makes it a lot easier to line up with the gap there. So I'm going to start those. Make sure you get those pretty snug, as they do have to do with your stabilizer. make sure all that is tight. This does remain slightly loose from this bolt we never touched. Okay, next step is replacing or reinstalling your seat. So put the back on first. Just slide it under to where it's tight, and then you're gonna see your bolt holes line up for your 2 screws with the 4mm Allen or screw gun if you got it. Next comes your side fairing pieces. The one that flares like this is your left side. You're just gonna push in your knob here into this rubber grommet. And then line up your screw hole, and you'll be installing your bolts with the 4mm Allen. Next, same thing on the other side. Now you should be done, you should be good. I'll do a test fire. Okay, so there you have it. A easy way to install new spark plugs on your Gen 3 ZX10R. This is a 2009. It's far easier than some people may make it seem online. Just have some patience. Make sure you have the right tools. If you can't find this, I will try to find a link and put it in the description so you can order one, hopefully off Amazon, just because it's easy for everybody. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Like this video if it was helpful to you, and subscribe for some more maintenance tips and tricks as I find them. Thank you. Have a good day.